What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. Updates and then thoughts. Even though I stopped speaking with that sociopath woman I was obsessed with about 2 months ago, which I did precisely because I was obsessed, and obsessed is not a good thing to be when it's going nowhere. I haven't been able to get her totally out of my head because I couldn't help but feel she did feel something but was playing games. And despite the title of the video, games are really bad when you want something. But actually, maybe they aren't. Maybe games, in most situations, are the only way you can get anything you want. But from where I'm standing, if you want to build something, games are the worst idea. And I'd been thinking maybe I'd done something wrong. Maybe I'd been too hasty. But I didn't reach out to her this entire time. I didn't look at anything she was doing this entire time because I thought maybe it would go away. And it didn't. And I think that's because I took a concluding action on my end while there weren't definitive concluding actions on her end. Lots of mixed signals, games, bullshit, but not definitive concluding actions. And we've been pretty busy externally and internally these last 2 months. And although I'm still not close to being able to deal with a situation like that ideally, instinct started telling me to reach out. And that's because I think Jakey Boy knew I wouldn't be able to let this go otherwise. At least not within any reasonable time frame. So I did a lot of thinking, I drew cards, and the cards suggested she was creeping me and hates my fucking guts. But I reached out anyway because Jake was right. Whatever comes, you won't know until you know. And I saw 3 painful ways this could play out. 1, she brushes me off, in which case, now you're certain. That's a her move, not a you move. 2, we start talking again and she plays nice with the intention of getting me back in some way. Which, again, at least you know. A her move, not a you move. Now, the third one would be the least ideal. We start talking again and everything is fine, but then I probably get attached. That would be severely not ideal. Don't really have a plan for that one, but because of what instinct is saying, I'm assuming after all this practice, Jake has a way of dealing with this now. Which is where the title of this video comes in, but we'll get to that. So I finally pulled the trigger, and I have received the brush off. So although I'm in a lot of pain, that is a certainty I can work with. Either I never mattered that much to begin with, I was just another fun guy, or she hates my guts. It doesn't matter. I'm sure moving on totally will still take a while, but it won't be bugging me. In the sense, I fucked up and there's something I need to do about it. I did the one thing I could do, and that's that. And it puts you in this floating state, like the end of a show you've been watching regularly. And that sort of emptiness will eat away at you. In fact, probably the entire reason I've been wondering about this and bothered about it is it was an unsolved puzzle. And problems are like food for your mind. If nothing else is available to keep you occupied to that degree, and emotional intensity like that is a high degree that is hard to match, that's what your mind will eat. And this emptiness feeling, when you are now in absence of this highly nourishing Pandora's box-ass curiosity, you start to break down in a different way. With the former thing, it was like a moth with a pretty solid idea of what a flame is, which is its own sort of torture. Emptiness makes you die in a different way. There is nothing to distract you from no solution and no salvation. And you need distractions because there is no solution and no salvation to no solution and no salvation. Living well is living in a matrix you don't hate. And that is where games can be curative. Lots of games have been going on the last couple months. And games are different when you believe there are or are not stakes. Games with stakes are the most nourishing but also the most painful, because if problems are nourishment for the mind, then there shouldn't be games with stakes. There should just be problems, other problems. Nonetheless, games with stakes are the most distracting games. Games without stakes can be interesting, but they also get boring, especially as you become more and more and more aware there is nothing of value on the table here. And actually, those sorts of games can warp into their own form of emptiness, but they're still at least distracting. And stakes are not an on or off thing. You can have games with small stakes, and I think those are the most curative. Even when they aren't even hidden as games, flagrantly game playing. And I thought I would hate this. Maybe all these events and changes have adjusted my opinion, but I kinda don't hate low stakes games anymore. In fact, I appreciate them because they are the living equivalent of, hey sport, I see you're down, you want to play some catch? Yes, actually I do. Thank you. Now, why can low stakes games be curative? Especially once your big game has concluded. It's because they occupy your mind. Without suitable occupation, you risk falling back into obsession, except worse this time, because there are zero stakes anymore. This is a tremendous void game, a void accelerant. Or you sit in the cold and contemplate nothing, which is death. A nice, low-stakes game shields you. It shields you from obsession. It shields you from the void, from emptiness. And I think the idea is to play games that occupy you until you find another game that consumes you. Except that ideally wouldn't be a game, more like you found someone to play on the same team with against life's biggest, most bullshit games. And on the low-stakes games side of things, it's looking like that's what the Discord server will be. The Discord server has been funny for a while because it's been so dead and depressing, and while I'd reached a point, I didn't hate that, because the server, for what it was serving its purpose. And I also like just sad, apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic shit. The server got a life injection, and now maybe we'll actually use it. Every so often we'll do one question, one card, little tarot readings like I guess they still do on X. Not Twitter, the Slovakian seancing forum, with zero limiters or professionalism. And I know other people on the channel are getting into tarot. There are a few of you. This might be a good time to practice, or a good space to practice. Endings are not always awful. Find games that can get you through until you find your next all-consuming, life-affirming game. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.